My name is Natalia. I come originally from Greece, but I've been living in many other European countries. And for the last 5.5 years, I've been living in Denmark. So I was so excited to hear about the Happy Abroad Summit last year in 2020 because, well, I'm an expat living in another country, and basically all my circles, they're not that many international. So there are many Danes, but there are also some international. So it was actually quite interesting to see, okay, what are the experiences of all the other people in the planet, because it was a global summit. That was one of the greatest things. It was not just in one country or just in Europe. And just try to see, okay, what are their obstacles? What are their experiences? And then what also caught my attention with the summit, it was that how to be happy abroad. And happiness is such a big issue, and I was thinking that it would be very interesting to see what are the challenges and what can really make you love yourself and not feel so alone when you are abroad. So that was what made me register from the beginning, in my case. But one of the biggest takeaways, I think there were 5 takeaways. Number 1 was that expectations, and I still haven't managed that 100%, but it was like that when you move to another country, many of the things that you consider given from your own culture and your own country, they're not particularly the same, or maybe not existing in the other country. So the first takeaway was like, every time you catch yourself saying, this is not how it should be, this is not how it must be, or something similar, it's an assumption or an expectation from coming from you, but maybe it's not the same from others. So that was the first key takeaway, like, okay, realize maybe is it your expectations that frustrate you, that make you feel alienated, or is it maybe something that is maybe a miscommunication or just another culture over there. The other key takeaway was, because at that point, so a year ago, I was thinking a lot about what the other people think. So I caught myself not being very happy about, okay, because I was comparing myself with others. Why is he better than me? Why is he treated better than me? Do they think like that about me? And it was like about me. And there was a speaker in the summit that said that people are actually nicer than you think, and they don't think that much about you as much as you think about yourself all the time. So it was like a wake-up call to say that you're an international and an expat in another country is also very unique, because it's a blending of different cultures. So it is basically to understand that you maybe are overthinking things, and you don't need to compare yourself to others because you're like incomparable. You don't have the same background, the same language, the same canvas as all the others. So every person is actually unique. And it was one of the things that helped me understand, like, take a lot of frustration out. And they also said it's like, be kind to yourself, because it was actually quite a pressure, a frustration to say, why am I treated like that? Why am I so different? And sometimes it's all over my head or in our heads. And number 3 was about being curious and non-judgmental. And that is also in correlation with the expectations and the cultures. And it was understanding that when you're first in a situation, when you get yourself in a situation that you think, okay, this is that makes you triggered. It makes you triggered because for many reasons. It can be because maybe it's your expectations, as we said, or it can be culture or something else. Then you get yourself judging the other person. Then you and generalizing. And then there was a talk in the summit that basically said, being curious and ask why, instead of judging and saying and like predefining, assuming why it is like that. And it was in association with another talk in the summit when we discussed we need to understand why people react the way they do. And then it really is important to understand why I react the way I do, right? And it was, I think the talks, when you hear people talking about that and saying their unapologetic truth and saying their experiences, and then you look at yourself and reflect, you feel like, okay, I'm not the only one person like that. So it's not because I'm the stupid and they're smart, or I'm the smart and they are the stupid. You feel like one in a community. It's like a community when you feel like I'm one of the many that experience the same issues. And it takes some mechanisms and some thinking process and training to just learn to think otherwise. There was also a talk about breathing. It was I'm not a person that meditates, so I haven't mastered that yet, but it was a very, very beginner's course on how breathing can help you calm down and really listen to your body. And actually, if you do it correctly, then it can really help. And then at that talk, there was one technique that I learned during the summit was to associate a deep breath with something daily. And I think it was one of the key lessons like that. I really applied it to my daily life multiple times, how to breathe correctly. And last was the values. There was a course, like a talk. It was a talk, but it was more like a course that time, to learn to understand why you, what drives you. Why did you come to this country? Why did you leave your friends and your family behind? Why did you change your life? And it was, why did you choose that job, for example? And all of these things that empower us, they can be imprinted in some values. And I had to find my own values. And I haven't done that yet at that point. But when you find them, then you realize that they are the reason that you react the way you react in situations. And they are the reason that sometimes you also give power to others, because it was also very close to understanding, why do I allow myself to be defined by others? And it was connected to that we should never allow ourselves and give power to others to define ourselves. We should find ourselves and define what is good for us. And that we only do when we find our core values. And finding them and accepting them is not a very easy thing to do. But it's easier when you have others that they have been through this journey and they can pat you in the shoulder and say that it is okay that you have these values. And I think one of the biggest takeaways, like the biggest one, was that you don't feel alone. There's also a Facebook group where you can share your ideas and you can see what other people answer. And I think when you look at the stories and when you look at the funny jokes that happen when you first move in the country and you do mistakes when speaking a different language, or simple cultural things like, okay, you go out with an international friend in a restaurant, who pays? Do we need to share? Do I need to buy, the meal, and things like that? I think they were unique. The greatest experience from the Happy Abroad Summit was that you are learning something new, and you're learning it in a fun way. You get a lot of experience from people that they are served to you like an open book, and you can just keep it or skip it, and you can learn from it. You can also ask for help. That was amazing. Also, you can watch it. It's a video. It's not a book you have to read. It's interactive, and you can how can I say? You can basically go back, see it again. Ask questions. Networking is also a very important part, and there's also a lot of diversity. So you can find anything you can imagine, from family life to how to build a successful career as a leader, how to learn to communicate with your boyfriend who maybe or who's not from the same country, but you have to live in another country. So it's all the typical, like hot potatoes that can come up with living abroad. And I think there will be at least one very relevant thing to find that applies directly to your case if you are an expat living abroad and socializing with people that they do not come from the same culture and background like you. So I would definitely suggest it. I think it's worth the time. It's worth the effort to listen and also try to apply the things that you listen and you learn. And I think that the overall experience is that you will be happy. You will not be happy when it ends, but you will be happy for the journey. And you will definitely feel that it was worth your time. It was not something you just did. You did it, you finished it, then life goes on. It's something that really leaves a mark. Like, it really makes you feel that you gained value.